Welcome, welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Thank you, my friend. Okay. So again, these sort of interesting laws in Tetze that are not found anywhere else in the Torah. There are some, definitely. There's a reason it's called Deuteronomy, right? Because he reviews a lot of laws that are mentioned in the other books of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. But there definitely are some new laws, and Tetze is an example of that. So yesterday, when we were finishing up the laws regarding divorce, there was a Rashi, I believe, that we missed. And so I just wanted to take care of it today before we move on to a different subject. So, Achare Asher Hot Ama, right? After she has been defiled, right? Hut, hut, hutama'a, hutama'a. So, what is this? After she has been defiled, what does that mean? What's it referring to? And Rashi quotes the Talmud Yevamot Yud Aleph, the tractate Yevamot, page 11, and he says, Lerabot, that what this comes to do is to include, in other words, remember the whole point about this is that the man, if he divorced a woman, then remarried, and then divorced that second woman, he could not go back and remarry the first woman. He's forbidden from doing that. Okay. So what this is talking about is lerabot sota shenistera. It's talking about the hot amar refers to a woman who's suspected of adultery, and in fact they have evidence that she has secluded herself with another man, right? So that she is now under suspicion of adultery, that her husband cannot remain married to her, and that he cannot be intimate with her, just like the other case. That's the hutama, referring to a woman who has committed a suspected adultery by being secluded with another man. Okay. Going on now, onto some new ideas. Ki kach ish isha chadasha. If literally it means if a man takes a new wife, right? So he marries a woman, and Rashi's going to tell us when it says a new wife, and I'll finish up the sentence. Let's keep going. Lo yetze batzava, he shall not go out in the army. Velo ya'avor alav lechol davar, nor shall anything be placed upon him, right? Should not have any responsibility. And we'll see. Rashi's going to help us understand how this actually gets applied. Nakihi, yeah, he will be free, clean, literally. He will be free. Leveito, for his house. Shana achat, for 1 year. V'simach et ishto asher lakach, that he may cause to rejoice his wife whom he has married. So does not go out into the army for that year, because for that first year he needs to take care of his wife and make sure she's as happy as she can be. Right? He has to make her happy. At least that's literally what it's saying. So, what do we mean by isha chadasha? What do we mean by a new wife? Shehi chadasha lo. The point is he's never married this woman before, right? Va'afilu almana, even if she's widowed. So even if she has been married before and she is widowed, if he marries her, this law applies. Prat. So what does it exclude? And Rashi says it excludes the machazir grushato, meaning someone who remarries the woman he divorced. So if a man divorces a woman and he doesn't marry another woman, then because we just had this law elsewhere, right, he can't remarry the woman he divorced. Okay, going on. Veloya avor alav, right? Nothing shall pass over him. He shall not be responsible for anything. Devar hatzava, referring to military service of any kind. And what military service are we referring to? Lechol davar, for anything. And this is according to the Sifrei, right? That halachic midrash on Numbers and Deuteronomy, and also in the tractate Sota on page 47, Shehut Serach HaTzava, meaning any needs on the part of the army. And he gives an example, Lo Lesapek Mayim Umazon, not to provide, for example, to provide water and provisions. Velo letaken drachim, nor to repair roads so that the army can march efficiently over them. Aval hachozrim me'orchei hamilchama. But there's another situation where they are getting ready, they're preparing for battle. This is also mentioned in Deuteronomy, and where the people are gathered, and then the priest makes a declaration and basically gives various conditions, and basically then says those people, in other words, if somebody just built a house but he wasn't able to dedicate it, he should return. And he gives other examples as well. Planted a vineyard and hasn't had a chance to make use of that vineyard, etc. Milchama al pi kohen, from the kohen, at the mouth literally of a kohen, and he gives the examples of those who are allowed to return from having to perform military service. Bana bayit v'lo chancho, if he built a house and wasn't able to dedicate it. Aras isha, if he betrothed a woman, v'lo lakha, but he was not able to marry her yet, he had not married her yet. These are all those conditions under which he may return to his home. Maspikim ma'imazon. But such people still bear some responsibility for military service. They don't go into the line of battle, but they provide other services that the army requires. Umetaknin et hadrachim, and they also help to repair the roads. So a person who marries a woman, right, a new wife for him, he is absolved of serving in the army on any kind of level for a year. But in these other cases, he still has to perform some military service. And that's because the Torah goes beyond simply saying, lo yetzeh batzava, but goes on to say, v'lo ya'avor alav lechol davar. He shouldn't have to provide service for anything at all with regards to military service. Okay. So, levetor, ze betor, right? So when it says to Naki levetor, he shall be free for his house. Here it means he is saying here Beito, his house. So in other words, possibly any of the needs of his household. Yeah, so this he will be. We don't need this word. So what's it coming to do? It's coming lerabot et karmo, to include his vineyard. In other words, it's not just the structure of his house, it's also his fields, his vineyards, etc. Besimach et besimach. So this word simach, yismach et ishto. He shall make his wife happy, rejoice. V'targumo v'yachadei yat itate, right? And if with an this is not the translation. Well, let's see. It actually is, right? That is the correct translation. V'yachadei yat itate. He shall cause to rejoice his wife. V'hamitagem v'yachdei im itate. But those who translate this as he shall rejoice with his wife, to'eh, is making a mistake. They're incorrect. To'eh, so the next, yes, to'ehu, he makes a mistake. She'ein ze tirgum shel v'simach, because it is not the translation of this particular form of the verb. So let's just go back and take a look. V'simach, right, which is PL. Right? Samach, it'd be kal, a different construction, right? Shel v'simech, ela shel v'samach. But that would be the translation if it says v'samach et ishto. Were to say that, that would indeed mean rejoice with his wife. But the fact that the tradition points it as he shall cause to rejoice, v'simech, that's why it means to make sure that his wife is rejoicing. Totally new halacha here. Lo yachavo rechaim v'rachav. You shall not take in corn a millstone and an upper millstone, right? A mill and the upper millstone. Ki nefesh, because a person's life, hu chovel, right? He is taking in pawn a person's life by taking in pawn that particular item. Rechaim. So Rashi explains Rechaim, hu hatachtona. This is the stone on the bottom. This is the lower millstone. Rechev, which means to ride. He ha'elyona. That's the top stone, which is the one that moves around on the lower one. Lo yachbo. This is he shouldn't take in pawn. Imba lemishkano al chovo. If this person is coming to see if they can take some sort of pledge regarding a loan that he's made to him. The Beit Din, in a court, lo yimshechanenu bidvarim ha'osin b'hem ochel nefesh. He shouldn't take in pledge, right? Shouldn't take a mashkon, right? A pledge, things that with which one prepares staple food. So they're using this example, the specific example given by the Torah, as in a sense a binyan av, meaning it's a specific example, or as a klat, a prat shetzarich liklal. You have to generalize this particular specific. So it's not just that example; it's any similar kind of implement. Ki yimatze ish gonev nefesh me'echav. If it is found, if a man who steals the soul of his brother, his fellow, is found, mibnei Yisrael, amongst the children of Israel, me'echav mibnei Israel, from one of his fellows of the children of Israel. Vehit amerbo, and he made such a person his servant, umecharo, and he sold him, umeit haganav hahu, such a thief shall be put to death. Uvi'ata hara, and that you may remove hara, the wickedness, from the midst of you. So, ki yimatze. So this phrase, ki yimatze, if it be found. So what the Torah is telling us, according to tradition, according here to the Sifrei, but edim, meaning through witnesses, they have to be witnesses, uvahatra'ah, and with forewarning, meaning this person was warned ahead of time that what he was doing was a capital offense, and he nevertheless said, I don't care, I'm still going to do it. V'chein kol yimatze sheba Torah, Rashi says, anytime you find this phrase, yimatze, in such a context of a legal decision or a judgment of some kind, it means that it has to be done through witnesses and forewarning. V'hit amerbo, right? So that's another phrase. Enocha of. Such a person is not going to suffer a capital sentence, right? He's not, literally it means owes, right, his life, ad sheyishtamesh bo, until he actually makes use of him. He uses this person he has taken and kidnapped in some way or another. So it doesn't mean that he may not be up for to be prosecuted, but it just means it's not a capital offense under those circumstances. And one last halacha, these are all sort of unrelated. Hishamer benega hatzarat. Be careful, guard carefully regarding the plague of leprosy. Going on. Lishmor ma'od v'lasot. to guard it very, very carefully and to practice it.
Wait, wait a second.
Sorry?
Just a minute on
Wait,
that one. So we'd say tzaraat, but we know that that leprosy isn't what we think of as leprosy.
correct,
And
correct.
what
I
brings
know.
to mind is house leprosy.
Right.
Uh,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
what,
Right.
50 years ago, that was my bat mitzvah portion.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
I realize it's usually interpreted as addressing lashon hara,
Well, it
slander,
will. You are
gossip,
anticipating.
things. And
Yeah.
so it struck me here when this is raised,
Yes.
the the urgency of the verb there
Yes.
might be that it is specifically about um, what evils you can do with your tongue.
It's going to be alluded to in the next verse, and Rashi's going to tell us. So yes, you're right on. Yes, to be very diligent about it and to practice it. Kachol asher yoru etchem hakohanim haleviim, according to all that the Levitical priests teach you or show you. Asher, well, it's to teach you, like Torah is from this, Mori. Ka'asher tzivitim, just as I commanded them, tishmeru la'asot, you shall faithfully practice. So let's take a look. Hishamer b'nika hatzaraat, right? So be diligent about regarding or mindful, right, about the plague of leprosy. So what do we mean by that? Shelo titlosh simainei tuma, that you shouldn't just physically remove those signs of impurity. Velo tikutz et habaheret, and I believe what this means as you should not incise a bright spot. In other words, any attempt to remove physically those signs of leprosy. So what you need to do when it says to guard is to guard against any physical removal of them. It has to happen naturally with all the laws associated with it. Kachol asher yuru etchem, just as they teach you, im lahaskir. So it could be they're going to say you have to um, put this individual, in quarantine. Im lahachlit, if they determine that this person is definitely a leper and the laws that follow about that. Im letaher, whether this person has once again become pure. Those are all done under the supervision of the Kohanim. They're the ones who determine these particular things. So we have another verse which is associated with this, and which basically, you might say, proves the connection of lashon hara and tzaraat. Zachor et asher asa Hashem Elohim leMiriam. Remember what the Lord God did to Miriam, b'derech, on the way, b'tzeitchem mitzrayim, when you left Egypt. So here we are, right? Find it. Zachor et asher asa Hashem Elokecha laMiriam. Remember that which the Lord your God did to Miriam. And again, the Sifrei here. Imbata lehizaher, right? If you are going to be meticulous and mindful about this, shelo tilker b'matzarat, that you do not become afflicted with tzaraat, al tisaper lashon hara. Do not go around bad mouthing. Zachor, remember, ha'asui leMiriam, that which was done to Miriam, shedibra ba'achiha, because she spoke against her brother Moses, v'lakta b'negaim, and she was smitten with the plague of leprosy. And this is where we're going to stop today. Let me just mark the place. Okay, there we are. And the place, I'm going to stop the share. All right. Any comments before we stop the recording? Harlan, did you want to say something? I can't hear you because you're muted.
I'm sorry. I want to say something about if in the army, if the person is afraid to go to battle and is scared to go to battle, he will make the others scared to go to battle. So he should be exempt from the army.
Right. And he is also. That's one of, it's the very last category that the priest issues. And there's a wonderful comment that says that before they don't do it singly. In other words, the priest doesn't say, okay, anyone who hasn't dedicated a house, go. He does all of them together. They're all done together so that no one knows the reason why a person is leaving, because you don't want to humiliate a person who might be leaving because they're afraid and they're too scared and need to get going. But that's an interesting statement there. Yes, for sure. Okay. Thanks. And I will stop the recording.